I can just go home. You guys already have like such a great conference going for you. I don't even need to be here right now. You have games, you have like this awesome stand-up reception. You guys have John and Colby. I think you're good, right? Like I can just fly home right now? Okay, all right, I'll say it's fine. So, like John told you, my name is Tori. I hail from the land of Florida, where it's about 40 degrees hotter than what it is right now here. We have palm trees, we have the beach, and in Florida is where I met Colby Girton at a place called Palm Beach Atlantic University. This beautiful place, shameless plug, if you're looking for a college, look there. It's less than a mile away from the beach. Beautiful, right? So I've lived in Florida for the past 5 years, but I originally come from Pennsylvania and Maryland, and so today I felt like, Colby and I drove all across Kentucky. I felt like it was. She showed me this town. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, and it actually reminds me a lot of where I came from in Maryland, because in Maryland, my high school had a little thing called a drive your tractor to school day. So even though I'm not from Kentucky, it kind of feels like a little bit of a homecoming, and I'm so glad to be here. I'm so glad to share this time with you guys. This week, we're going to be talking about grace. We're going to be talking about what does it mean that God has given grace, what is grace, and what does that mean for our lives. Tonight's passage comes from Matthew 11, 28 through 30. I believe it's going to be on the screen. It's the Message version. It says, "Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me. Get away with me and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly." That's Jesus talking to his disciples. Will you please pray with me before we get started? God, I thank you so much that we get to share this space as a group tonight. I pray that you quiet our hearts. I pray that you push aside the things that we've been dealing with today so that we can create a space where you can speak and we can hear you. God, we love you so much. We are listening. Would you speak? Amen. So in high school and middle school, you guys are probably experiencing this now. There's a cool group, there's like the jock group, and then there's the nerd group. There's probably a couple other groups in there that I've missed. Raise your hand if you think you're part of the cool group. All right, okay, we have a couple brave souls up here. All right, sit down, you're too cool. Raise your hand if you play a sport in school or on a specific club in school. Okay, all right, I see you. And then raise your hand if you feel as if you may be a little bit of a nerd in school. I will raise my hands for you. I am proud. So, all right, sit down. In high school and middle school, I was a nerd for sure. I was just telling Colby earlier, I can't tell you how many lunches I spent reading in the library instead of socializing in the cafeteria. And even now, I'm a little bit of a grandma. If it were up to me, I would go to bed every night, 9 p.m. No joke. It would be awesome. So here I am, not very cool. Fast forward like however many years. All right, quiet down. And this past fall, I was in my hometown in Maryland. I had brought some of my best friends there, and we were coasting through the streets, blasting music from our car with the windows down. It was so much fun. They were playing every single song that they played. I had no idea what it was. Apparently, it was cool music that I should have known if I was culturally relevant, but I wasn't. So I was so grateful that I was driving because all I had to do was keep my hands at 10 and 2, and I didn't have to learn, or I didn't have have to worry about how to dance. All I had to do was like bop my head a little bit, you know? And I didn't have to sing along, I just had to hum, and I could get by without anyone noticing that I wasn't cool. Yeah, it was awesome. But then, the song We Belong Together by Mariah Carey comes on the radio, and your girl knows every single word. And I was singing, I was having so much fun. The song ends, and all of my friends in the car are looking at me, and they're like, "You're so lame." They didn't say that. At the moment, they thought I was so cool. They said, "Tori, you know every single word to that song?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know. That's right. I know." I thought that I could pass as like being a little bit cool, but they said, no. We've noticed that you haven't been singing along to any of the other cool songs that we've been playing, so why did you know that song? And I was like, I don't know, because I'm cool, you know, just let me have it, come on. But really, guys, the more I was like, I actually don't know why I knew every word to that song, and the more that I thought about it, the more that I realized it was because when I was in elementary school, I was in band, and I played the alto saxophone, and I had a music book that had the music and the lyrics to all the cool pop songs of the day. So the only reason that I knew the Mariah Carey song was because I was a band nerd. Aw, yeah. So even that was taken away from me. Yeah, I appreciate the applause, thank you. But here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing, in that moment, I didn't want to tell my friends that I was a band nerd because I wanted to be accepted. I wanted their approval. There's something that all of us want so much as to feel accepted. And along with that, we also want to be known. So there's two deep longings that all of us have. We want to be known, and we want to be accepted. But rarely do we ever think that the two can come together. We rarely think that we can both be fully known and fully accepted. If I told my friends that I played the alto saxophone and was in band, they wouldn't think I was cool anymore. If people only knew the terrible thoughts that I had sometimes, they wouldn't want to be my friend. If people only knew how insecure I felt before I posted that photo to Instagram, they wouldn't even want to like it. If people only knew what a mess my family was, they wouldn't want to be my friend. They wouldn't have hope that I could be a friend to them. If people only knew, then we wouldn't be accepted. There's these deep, dark places inside of us that we're scared to be let known. We're scared to bring them to the light and to let other people see them. So what do? In Genesis, when Adam and Eve first sinned, what do? They hide. And that's what we do sometimes too. When we're afraid of rejection because of the ugly parts of ourselves, what do? We hide, and we try to cover it up, and we try to mask it with filters, and we try to let no one into our home so that they don't know how messy it is in the dynamics of our family. We try to hide. We try to pretend that our pain doesn't exist so that we don't have to confront it ourselves and so that other people don't know so we can't be rejected. I don't know about you, but I have felt that so much in my life, that shame that comes along with these dark parts of myself, that shame that comes along with the pain that I've experienced, both from other people and from my own sin. Shame pushes us into hiding. It tells us the lie that we're not good enough. It tells us the lie that if people only knew, we could never be accepted. That shame. So hiding is one way that we deal with this tension of wanting to be known but being afraid of rejection. Another way is that we pretend and that we put this pressure on ourselves to perform. So growing up, I experienced a ton of this in church. I thought that if I was this little Miss Picture Perfect person, then I would be accepted. If I could sit in the pew on a Sunday morning having dotted all my I's and crossed all my T's and dressed nice and looked nice and put on a happy face, it was then that I would be accepted. I would walk into youth group almost every week feeling like I had to be someone that I wasn't. I dealt with some pretty hard things, and I would guess that all of you have too in your middle school and high school years. But I never felt the freedom to bring that into the church, into this space, because it was messy, because it was hard. And I thought, if they only knew. So I pretended. And my pretending looks like putting on a happy face and thinking that if I just looked happy and looked nice, no one would have to see those ugly parts of me. But you know what that did to me? It pushed me more and more into shame and farther away from understanding the grace of God. And guys, it was exhausting. When we try to be something that we're not, when we try to be in a place where we're not, when we try to feel emotions that we're not currently feeling, it's exhausting because we're never honest. We're never in a place where we can rest. We're never in a place where we feel like we can accept ourselves, so we're never in a place where we let others accept ourselves. We're always trying to work harder, to be something different, to get more likes on Instagram, to do whatever more on Snapchat. I'm not cool enough to have a Snapchat, so I don't know about that. But we're always trying to do more, to be more, to have more, or to be less seen, to hide. We're never complacent with where we are. So, what does Scripture have to say about this? We go back to Matthew 28:30. Are you tired? Remember, this is Jesus talking to his disciples. Are you tired? Are you worn out? Burned out on religion? Well, come to me. Get away with me and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. The lies that we're told when we hide, the lies that we're told when we perform, when we pretend, is that we're not good enough as we are. But the invitation of grace is that because of who you are right now, because of the mess that you're in, it's an invitation to come just as you are. And because of who you are, you're accepted. The invitation of grace is to come as you are, with all your pain, with all your mess-ups, with all your mess, with all your hiding and all your shame. It's to come and to be open and vulnerable with that. Grace is not the to-do list that we often feel like we get in church: do more, be more, have more. It's an invitation where Jesus comes open-handed to us and says, join hands with me. Come, work with me, learn with me, and I will give you rest. When I was 7 years old, I got chicken pox for the first time. Raise your hand if you've ever gotten chicken pox. The worst. Wow, only a couple of us. Can't believe that. So I was 7 years old, I got chicken pox. Being this tiny little 7-year-old, I never had experienced any sort of, blemish on my face before. So I remember I got up the morning and I only had chicken pox spots on my face. Nowhere else on my body, only on my face. So when I wake up, I don't even look in the mirror. I just see my reflection in the TV screen, and all I can say as a 7-year-old is, I'm hideous. And I take my hands, and I cover my face. And I will not let anyone look at my face. So I'm covering my face, and my grandma and my mom come into my room, and they're trying to coax me into taking down my hands, but I'm very stubborn. And so even as a child, I was very stubborn. And so I would not let them look. I didn't want anyone to see me. I was so ashamed of how I looked and who I was in those moments that my hands just kept right there. And no one was gonna make them budge. So I walked down to the living room, and my grandma and my mom are still trying to, coax me. They're promising pancakes with chocolate chips and things like that, but nothing is working. And my grandpa is this sweet man. He's British. He immigrated over here from England, so he still has his accent. And he's sitting there, he has this big belly, with his hands folded on his belly, and he's just watching this whole situation played out. And me, tiny 7-year-old Tori, hands still covered over her face, standing stubbornly in front of her grandma and her mom. And Grandpa just sees it all plays out, and in a moment when no one was talking, he just says, "Hey, Tori." And I just peek through my hands. "Yes." He says, in his sweet British accent, he says, "Come here." Almost. And so I, still being stubborn, cover my hands and walk over towards him, kind of stomping my feet a little bit. And then he pats his lap. He says, "Come up." Come up. And I, still being stubborn 7-year-old Tori, begrudgingly climb into his lap, hands still over my face, and I nestle myself in his arms. And he sits there, and all he does is hold me. My hands still covering my face, I begin to dig deeper into his chest and allow his arms to wrap around me and to hold me tighter. And in those moments, I realized that I didn't have to hide. I realized that I was accepted and that I was loved by someone who knew me and loved me just as I was. And so you know what happened? I took my hands away from my face. And I knew I didn't have to hide anymore. And I sat there, being held by my sweet grandpa. And after that, I began to nestle more into his chest, and I could hear his heartbeat. And I began to listen to his breathing as he inhaled and exhaled. As he inhaled and as he exhaled. And something so significant happened in those moments. I felt so close to my grandfather, so known by him, so loved by him, that I wanted to follow the pattern of his breathing. So little tiny 7-year-old Tori would breathe in with her grandpa and breathe out with him. And if my breath was shorter than his, I would hold it until we could exhale at the same time. And we could breathe in together, and we could breathe out together. I matched the rhythm of his breathing because of the closeness that I felt to him, and the love I felt from him. Guys, that's how grace works. Grace is this invitation in our mess, in the very midst of our pain. It's an extended hand that says, "Come, sit in my lap. I know you feel ugly, I know you feel ashamed, but come. Sit in my lap." And when we decide to come, when we decide to accept the invitation, then we sit and we rest And we enjoy the warmth of his love, and we come to understand and actually believe that love for us. And once we understand it, then we know we don't have to hide anymore. Then we know we can be exactly as we are, where we are. And then we match our walk with his. We match our lives to reflect his. Because of the closeness, because of his love, then we get to go out and do. Because of his love for us in our mess, we get to not hide, and we get to match the rhythm of his breath and live like him. That's so important to remember. Grace is not getting it all together and then being accepted. Grace is coming as you are in your mess, and then knowing you are loved and being changed by it. I'm going to invite the band to come up, and we're going to pray and close out tonight. I want to invite you, as you go throughout this week, I want to invite you to come with your mess. As you learn about grace, as you're surrounded by these wonderful leaders and these wonderful people, be honest. Be vulnerable. Know that long before you ever shared the deepest, darkest parts of your heart, you are known and accepted by a God who loved you, who created you, who is there for you every step of the way. Know that an invitation and an open hand has already been extended to you long before this moment. And know that it will always, even in the darkest spaces that you have had behind you and that you will have before you, it will still be extended to you. Grace never runs dry. It's always there. If you need someone to pray with, I'm going to ask the leaders to go to be in the back. If you need someone to pray with, if you feel as if you want to be honest, that you want to accept this invitation, this beautiful invitation of grace that's being extended to you, and you want to take this first step by being known in your mess, I'd invite you to, during this next song, during my prayer, to go back and to talk with a leader and to share and to be vulnerable and honest with what's going on in your life. Will you please bow your heads and pray with me? God, we are so grateful that you extended an invitation to us, that we don't have to work harder to do more or to be more, to already be accepted and loved by you. God, you are so good. You're so good to us that even in our mess and our darkest places, in the times when we are most ashamed, that is when you have loved us the most. That while we were still sinners, you, God, came to die for us, to offer yourself up for us so that we might spend eternity with you. To have a better understanding, a deepened understanding of your grace and of what that means for us. Lord, we long to be close to you. We long to match our breath to the rhythms of your grace. We long to experience your grace and have it change us. We love you so much. It's in your name we pray.